How's it going? I am Weston.
Part 2. Cooper and Guy.
And we're going to be talking about the discussion of whether or not rodeo is abusive. Specifically, rough stock events to the animals and how abusive it is. So a little backstory on it is that, like, in the early 1800s, like, kind of around the El Paso area, these ranchers would gather around and kind of test to see who was technically the better rancher and test their skills of like what they do every day. And they realized that it was a very exciting and cool thing to do, and other people would come and start watching, and then it has slowly grown into the sport that it is today, with like $2.1 million added into rodeos, which is pretty crazy. But with that comes a lot of publicity, and a lot of naysayers are seeing that and talking about how these animals have like certain rights technically, and it's abusive, and just, yeah, we just kind of want to educate them.
So as not being like in the rodeo world, but seeing kind of from the outside and knowing a little bit about it, is what I can tell is like I know enough about rodeo that I'll go and people say, oh yeah, the flank, that rope tied around them is just tying up their nuts to make them buck, right? And like that just goes to show like how uneducated people are in this subject, and they really have no idea. I think these animals could live a better life. They are staying healthy through workouts and through rodeos, and obviously they're getting fed well because they're fed to perform. I mean, they're getting the best treatment better than any other animal there, because you have a bull on a farm, well, it's just eating grass, whatever. You get their grain, you know.
Well, like, okay, so like for instance, you look at any other, so equine and bulls are used to make money. The only reason that they are still around is to be able to make profit off of them, right?
Yeah.
And every other industry is probably, and I can say this pretty sternly, that it's 10 times more enduring and everything than those animals in the rodeo. So what we were talking about is, so like horses and the bulls specifically, they don't start going to rodeos until they are at least the age of 6, so they've matured, because it's not safe to have a young colt performing at these rodeos because they're still wild and young. So they wait till the age of 6 at least, and after that they probably go to 12 rodeos a year, right? And if you calculate that, and so I can't remember the website, but it was saying that if you go to 12 rodeos a year, with every rodeo you perform for 8 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And let's say they buck until like the age of 22 or maybe 23 or like something, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It comes out to a total of those horses only really having to do their job for a total of like 22 minutes. And that's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that doesn't account for the fact that the stock contractors work with the horses before like when they're younger. But that's not necessarily, that's just like training them to be safe. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with the flank strap. The flank strap is there for the horse. It's like it's the same thing as a belt buckle. It goes around the waist of the horse, the flank of the horse. And it's not strapped really tight. It's just kind of hanging there loosely. And all it does is create the horse to kick out and stay underneath itself. So it's more safe for the horse, and the cowboy can perform better with it doing that, but it does make the event more safe.
It's almost like the tendon in your knee, yeah.
Instead of spazzing around, they kick out and go straight instead of like bucking all over the place.
Or running straight out.
Yeah.
So do you think that people looking in on rodeo, they just see, horses getting kicked, like with spurs, and then they see the horse kicking, obviously, so they think it's getting hurt, but in reality, it's just, them being safe. And
so, like, and a lot of people think that it's cruel that cowboys wear the spurs.
Yeah.
But you have to look at it like this. So, if you got spurred as a human,
Yeah.
it would hurt.
Yeah.
But your skin is 2 millimeters thick, right? A horse's and bull's skin is close to 8 millimeters thick.
Yeah.
It's triple the thickness.
And if you have a leather pelt or something, like, you would know it's how tough it is. It is they are extremely tough animals.
Yeah. The spurs is probably the least of that animal's concern. They're more worried probably about this, like, the crowd and the noise.
Yeah.
That's probably the thing that scares the horses the most and hurts the horses, honestly, is the crowd.
Yeah.
And that does nothing. You know?
Yeah.
And
I agree.
another topic that was brought up was the
Calf roping.
yeah, like the calf roping. So it's hard to justify the calf roping because they are so young. But the thing with that is no matter where that calf is at, whether it be in a rodeo arena or on somebody's ranch, they're going to be roped like that. And on a ranch, they would have probably been roped 5 or 6 times more than what they do at a rodeo.
And they're living. They gotta live in the snow. I mean, they're not nearly as taken care of as.
Yeah, and that's another thing is people think that they're not getting treated properly because they're getting electrically prodded, which is actually banned. A lot of people don't know that, but electric prods are banned.
And they get big fines. People hiding taser in their glove or something. It's just
it's stupid. But and they think, oh, these animals aren't getting taken care of. But so the thing with rodeo is there's a committee for every rodeo. For instance, like if Columbus had a rodeo, there would be a Columbus Rodeo Committee, right? And that committee is in charge of hiring the stock contractor, and the stock contractor is the person that brings all of their animals to the rodeo. So if you're not taking care of your animals, that committee is not going to want to hire you and bring your horses or your animals or anything. So they keep their animals in the top peak condition. They take so much care of them. And I know like at least 70% of the horses that buck, because I just know a lot about the horse side of everything, but they get retired, and then because the people that own them have become so close to those horses that they basically say, you know what, I know I'm not going to make any money off this horse, but like they hold them so close to their hearts that they keep them around as basically the family pet. You know, like,
so I mean, from like I get from this whole topic, I mean they're taken care of from day one. They grow up to perform, they get trained, then midlife they perform, and after they perform, they're taken care of for the rest of their life, and they don't have to do it, you know.
Yeah, and they're not pushed. Yeah. None of the animals are pushed because
if they don't perform, they're not going to be at a rodeo.
Yeah, exactly. But like with like the Kentucky Derby just happening, those horses, they're bred just the same as like the bucking stock is. Like this horse is really good, this horse is really good, we're going to breed them. And it's the same with the Kentucky Derby and like horse races. But once they breed them, they're pushed, and like that's what they're bred to do.
It's just like pushed to do it. Like pushing a human.
Yeah.
Training.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And if a horse doesn't buck, then it's no big deal. They'll sell him to a rancher to use as a ranch horse. Yeah. So that's my topic. You guys have anything else to say?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.